Hey y'all, happy Friday. Welcome back to Fearless Fridays. Today is Friday, May 20th. This is episode 119 of Fearless Fridays. As always, I welcome you to the show, whether it's your first time watching or you're a return watcher. Welcome back. So today I want to talk about emotional stewardship. Emotional stewardship. Whew. Emotional stewardship. I think it's so important that we learn to be better stewards over our emotional health, over our emotions, um, managing our emotions, but also managing what we allow into our mental and emotional and spiritual and physical space. Because all of those things that we allow in can affect our emotions. And then we are required to manage our emotions. And that can either be made easier or more difficult based on what we allow into our space. There are so many things vying for our attention these days. There's so many things vying for our attention. Every day there's a new news story. Every day there's a new social media thing. Every day there's a new thing that happens in pop culture. And all of these things are vying for our attention. And that's not even to include the things that happen in our personal lives. There are things that happen in the world, in the country, in our city, online, on social media. But then there are things that happen to us on a personal level. And all of these things are vying for our attention. Some of these things deserve and need our attention. Some of these things do not deserve and do not need our attention. And what we choose to allow in, what we choose to seek after, what we choose to ingest, what we choose to give time and attention and emotional energy to, it's very important to know what we're choosing to give our energy to, what we're choosing to give our time and our emotional energy to. It's very important to know what our triggers are. It's very important to know what our personal triggers are. What are the things that bother us? What are the things that stay in the back of our minds? What are the things that stay in the pit of our stomach that bother us or that remind us of something that's unpleasant or that remind us of some trauma that we've gone through or that remind us of something sad or heavy that we've gone through? What are those things? And how are we caring for ourselves and caring for those things? What are we allowing in our space? What are we watching? What are we consuming? I think it's so important to know, to be able to locate yourself emotionally, like every day, to be able to wake up in the morning and say, okay, how do I feel today? What is my first thought of the day? How does that first thought make me feel? Where did that thought come from? Where is the emotion coming from? It's so important to be able to locate ourselves first thing in the morning and also throughout the day, because all kinds of things come at us throughout the day and all kinds of things can affect us. And sometimes things are affecting us emotionally and we don't even know. We don't even know what the thing is. We feel angry, but we're not quite sure. We feel upset, but we're not quite sure why. We feel sadness, but we're not quite sure why. And rather than ask questions and ask, well, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? Where did this come from all of a sudden? Rather than ask questions about it, a lot of times, a lot of us shove it down or push it away or ignore it. And we have emotion building up inside of us that at some point has to come out. It has to come out at some point. We can't live according to our emotions. Our emotions provide information. Our emotions provide information. So when we notice, first of all, we have to notice what we're feeling. When we sit for a moment and notice, wow, I'm feeling really frustrated. I'm feeling really, really frustrated. I want to cry. I want to scream. I want to cuss somebody out. I want to run down the street. I want to take a nap. I want to crawl under my bed. I want to punch a wall. Whatever we want to do, whatever the outburst is, whatever the immediate physical reaction is, that's based on an emotion. And we have to be able to locate ourselves and pinpoint what we're feeling, and then go even deeper and ask ourselves, why am I feeling this? Why am I feeling what I'm feeling? Sometimes we'll notice that we have allowed too much outside influence in. We're so caught up in what's happening on the news. We're so caught up in what's happening on social media, and these things are affecting us. It's so important to be mindful. If there's something you know bothers you, if you know that there is a specific thing, a specific person, a specific location, a specific rhetoric that bothers you, you have to be mindful of how or even if you interact with that thing. You have to know how it's going to affect you before you even dive in. And this is an issue I feel like that I've had a lot, because it seems like we are addicted to peeling back a scab on a wound that hasn't healed completely. We know something's going to bother us. We know it's going to make us angry. We know that person's going to say something that's going to make us angry, but we still keep diving in. And my question is, if you know that a specific person, a specific rhetoric, a specific group of people, a specific location, if you know that it bothers you, or angers you, or frustrates you, or saddens you, or distresses you, if you know that those are the emotions that you feel when you interact with that person or those people or that entity or that organization, if you know that that's how you feel, why continue to go back to it? And sometimes it may feel like we don't have a choice. Sometimes that thing might be your job that you have to go to every single day. Okay. So then you know it, that you feel that way. Then you have to ask yourself, why am I feeling this way every time I interact with that person? Why am I feeling this way every time I interact with that group of people? Why am I feeling this way every time I go to my job? Why? Ask yourself why. And then begin to figure out how you can fortify yourself emotionally so that you can lessen the chances of feeling that way, or completely rid yourself of the chances of feeling that way. Sometimes it's as simple as saying, I'm not going to engage in that anymore. I'm not going to engage with that person. I'm not going to engage with that organization. I'm not going to engage with that rhetoric, because I don't like how I feel once I have completed my engagement with that, whatever that is. Sometimes it's that simple of saying, I'm not going to engage anymore. Sometimes it's not that simple. Sometimes you have to engage with something that you know is going to be upsetting to you. So then what you do is you figure out how to fortify yourself so that when you go into that space with that person or thing or group or organization that you know bothers you, you're already built up emotionally so that you can handle it as gently and as peacefully as possible. And so that when you leave, you are not in emotional turmoil. That means preparing yourself. Don't just say, oh, I got to go in here and I got to deal with these people. Let me just see how it works. No, prepare yourself. Whether you need to pray, whether you need to call a friend and discuss it, whether you need to talk to a coach or a therapist and discuss it, whether you need to listen to some music to get your mind right before you go in, figure out what you need to do to fortify yourself so that you can go in, do what needs to be done, hold your peace, because your peace is your responsibility, and then finish with your peace intact. So I think this is so important, because we have so many things vying for our emotional attention. We have so many things vying for our attention, and those things affect us emotionally. And it is so important to be good stewards over our emotions. It's so, so, so important, because the way you feel internally, that's going to affect what comes out of your mouth. It's going to affect what you think. It's going to affect how you behave, how you interact with other people. It's going to affect the choices that you make. It's going to affect the way you move from day to day. That's your life. The way you move from day to day, that's your life. The way you think, what you speak, how you feel internally, the way you move from day to day, the way you interact with other people, that's your life. That's your life. And it's all starting internally. So let's be mindful of that, because the world is wild, y'all. Like, things happen every day. You know, we engage in the news because we want to stay informed, but then we continue to engage and we just end up angry. That's a sign that we need to turn it off, click it off. We engage in social media every day and we continue to engage because we want to stay connected. But then there are things on social media that cause us turmoil internally. That's a sign to unfollow, to block, to not engage, to leave it alone, to exercise some self-control and not continue to engage in the thing that is causing us emotional turmoil. That's emotional stewardship. And we're responsible. We are responsible for what we allow in, what we watch, what we listen to, what we think about, what we then say. We're responsible for all of those things. And we have the ability to shift all of those things if we are mindful of what we're letting in, what we are meditating on, what we're marinating on, the emotional turmoil that we feel in here. We have the ability to calm that down by doing what needs to be done, by turning something off, by shutting something down, by blocking something, by not engaging. We can save ourselves and hold our peace. Hold your peace. Hold your peace. So that's what I wanted to share with y'all today. How can you be a better steward over your emotions? Because they're your responsibility and they affect your whole life. Your whole life. Don't be out here making crazy choices because you emotionally jacked up internally and you haven't dealt with what you're feeling. Don't be out here making people's lives crazy. All right, I'm done. Remember, the euphoria of fearlessness trumps the comfort of staying safe. I'll talk to y'all next week. Bye-bye. Manage your emotions. Okay, bye.